to the end of John 13 to verse 36. Simon Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, where are you going?" And Jesus answered him, "Where I am going, you cannot follow me now, but you will follow me afterward." Peter said to him, "Lord, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for your sake." And Jesus answered him, "Will you lay down your life for my sake? Most assuredly, I say to you, the rooster will crow, shall not crow, till you have denied me 3 times. Here's the classic Peter, I want to go with you speech to Jesus. And Jesus says, "Peter, you can't go where I'm going. Before the rooster even crows tomorrow morning, you're already going to have denied me." And we stop right there and go, wow, what a tough story. But did you notice that the next verse, which is John 14:1, and John 14:1 doesn't exist in a vacuum, it exists in the context. And what Jesus has just done is tell Peter, "Peter, I'm going to a place you can't go yet. Someday you're going to go." Peter says, "Why not? I'm ready to die right now." And Jesus says, "No, you think you are, but before the rooster even crows, you're going to have denied me. But don't let your heart be troubled over this fact. You believe in God, believe also in me." You say, "Pastor, where are you getting that?" That's John 14:1. That's the next verse. Don't let your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And where I go, you know, and the way you know. Thomas says, "Lord, we do not know where you're going. How can we know the way?" And Jesus says what is probably our most famous verse when we deal with other religions. John 14:6, "I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me." Now, one of the first things I want you to notice is what this verse does not say, that every one of us believe it says. Even though we're reading it, we still miss it. Because we use this verse against every other religion in the world to prove to them that none of them get to go to heaven. "I am the way, and the truth, and the life, and no man goes to heaven except by me." But it doesn't say that. And contextually, it doesn't mean that. Because Jesus opens with this statement, "Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God. Now I want you to believe in Him through me. Because He's my daddy. And in Daddy's house are many mansions. And I am going to go do something that's going to get you ready for that. But don't worry, I'm going to come back after I do it. So that you're going to know that I am the way and the truth and the life. If you want to know Daddy, you're only going to know Him as Daddy through me." He doesn't say, now hang with me, He doesn't say you can't know God unless you know Him through Jesus. He says you're never going to know Him as Father unless you know Him through Jesus. I proclaim to you that Jesus was not making John 14:6 an anti-every other religion statement. Jesus was making this statement to prove to His disciples, you believe in God? I want you to believe in Him as Daddy. And you're never going to believe Him in as Daddy unless you believe Him through what I'm about to do. And what am I about to do? I'm about to go prepare something for you. But don't stress, don't fret. I'm going to come get you when I'm done. I propose to you, Jesus was not talking about ascending into heaven to build mansions for 2,000 years with cosmic hammers and nails until someday He can come back and take you to your mansion in the sky. As fun as that is to sing in church choir, it is not Bible. Instead, Jesus is saying, where I'm about to go, you can't go yet. Don't fret, I'm coming back. It's not even going to be that long. And when I get back, you're going to know the way and the truth and the life. When did He come back? 3 days later. "Peter, you're not ready. The rooster's going to crow. You're already going to deny me, but don't let your heart be troubled, buddy. The whole reason I'm about to do this is so that you can know Daddy the way I know Daddy. Because right now He's just God to you, and you think you owe Him a service. That's the only reason you want to go die is because you think you owe Him a service. But Daddy doesn't need to kill His children. I want you to know Him as Father. You are indeed going to die someday, Peter. In fact, at the end of the book of John, He says, you're going to live to be an old man, and people are going to pick you up and take you to a place you don't want to go. And history tells us that they picked up old Peter and they crucified him upside down. And Jesus says to His disciples, you're going to know that way. Now, here's those translation issues. First of all, I love John 14:6 because what it tells me is this. Every person that I ever encounter that claims they know God, I don't have to bust out John 14:6 and go, no, you don't, because Jesus is the way, the truth, the life, to know God. But I can bust out John 14:6 and say, hey, it's great that you know God, but wouldn't you like to know if he's your Father? It's great that you know God. I'm glad that you know God. In fact, you can figure out there's a God just by nature. Creation will teach you there's a God if you let it. Every culture in the history of the world's come up with a God. Maybe they call him the sky god or the water god or whatever, but they know there's a greater power than themselves, but they don't call him their Father. Disciples said, teach us to pray. Jesus said, here's how you should open, our Father. They'd never prayed that way before. Even when Jesus said it, I'm sure they felt uncomfortable. How can we call him Father? You can't unless I go away and do what I need to do. But when I go away and do what I need to do, I'm going to come again and I'm going to get you to myself so that you'll know the way. What is the way? I'm the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life. No man's going to know him as Daddy unless they know him through me. But when you know him through me, you're always going to know him through me. Translation issue is found in John 14:2. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. The word mansions is the Greek word Monet, M-O-N-A. Sounds very much like the French Impressionist painter, Monet. But that one ends with a T. This one's different, and it's Greek, not French. Monet, mansions, is translated properly. Mansions. In my Father's house are many mansions, in the respect that mansions are big, and they have a lot of room. If you think of a mansion, you don't just think of a cabin over in the corner. You think of a house with many rooms. Now, technically, the word Monet is translated as many abiding places, many abiding places, many dwelling places. But in our Western vernacular, and about 400 years ago when they translated out of Greek, if you have a house with many rooms, what's that called? Mansion. Would you be shocked to know that this word, Monet, only appears 2 times in the entire Bible? Only 2 times in the entire Bible. Now, when I see something like that, I get really curious because I want to know the other time they used it. In fact, I get more curious when a word is used only twice than I do when it's used only once. I'm just that way. I mean, if it's used once, you go, that's just an anomaly. If it's used twice, why only 2 times? Well, why not 3 times? Why not 10 times? Why not all the time? What's so different about that word? When I find that word in the other spot, I love to put them up next to each other and figure out what the 2 authors were saying. How did these 2 unconnected guys come up with the same thought? But when I find out it's the same guy, well, that's cool. When I find out it's the same chapter, that's cool. When I find out it's the same story and the same context, well, we're off to the races. But if you've studied your Bible, you know that John 14:2, in my Father's house are many mansions. Where else do we ever get the word mansions? We don't. Because the translators, the next time they see it, get disturbed at the thought of using it again. Because mansions in this context looks like Jesus goes away and builds you a house, and that's cool. Because that gives me hope that when I die, I get a big house with a white picket fence and all my dead dogs are there. And what great hope I have in this. But remember, John 15, you abiding in a vine, was Jesus' second attempt to tell the same story. His first attempt is this, mansion verse. Because he says, in my Father's house are many abidings, many abodes, many Monets. If it were not so, I would have told you. If there wasn't room for you, I wouldn't be inviting you into a relationship with Daddy. But there's room. He's got room for a bunch of sons. I'm not the only son. You get to be a son. This is what Jesus is saying. If it were not so, I would have told you. I wouldn't bother to tell you about Daddy's abiding place if you weren't welcome. But in my Father's house are many mansions. Look at the other time Monet pops up. Verse 23 of John 14. Jesus answers and said to him, if anyone loves me, he will keep my word. And my Father will love him, and we will come to him, and we will make our Monet with him. And if the translators, and please, I apologize to all the translators, if they had kept their nerve, they would have used the word mansions again, because that would have caught your ear. Remember what he said, in my Father's house are many mansions. And then he says, my Father will love him, verse 23, will come to him, and we will make our mansion with him. Where's the mansion? I know. Think about it for a little while. Let it process. This is what Jesus was trying to do. This is what he did. He looked at his disciples and he says, in Daddy's house are a lot of mansions. If you love me and you believe on me, guess where Daddy builds that mansion? What's the verse say? In you. Mind's blown. That was the disciples. They didn't get it. So he says, okay, let's start over. I'm the vine. Yeah, I'm the vine. Daddy's the vine dresser. You guys are branches. If you stay in the vine, fruit comes out. How's that? Right? Yeah, there they go. They go, ah. And Jesus says in John 16:1, these things I write to you so that you don't stumble. See, I'm about to go to the cross and you're going to stumble. And you're going to think, we lost. I bet on the wrong horse. Don't worry, I'm coming back. I'm not going to leave you guys this way. I'm just going to go build something. It's a space in Daddy's heart. And Daddy and I are going to move that space inside of everyone who believes on me. And every time you refer to him from now on, you're going to realize that because of me, the way, the truth, the life, you get to call him Daddy.